So, since my last video this week was essentially, using money to create physical media for your characters, and obviously that's not accessible for everyone, there are some discrepancies with money. So, here are a bunch of DIY projects that I've been doing recently that are kind of like easy to do. Well, not easy. They're definitely tedious, but they're mostly objects you have at home, hopefully, if you are a crafter. There's a couple things I need to go over first. Disclaimer. These will not last you very long. And by that, I mean these aren't exactly built to be sturdy or long-lasting by any means. A lot of these, I think, will deteriorate over time, so it's nice to kind of have, but it's also easy to make again. So this might be a consistent remaking thing, depending on how much you wear or tear these stuff. And of course, the second thing, be careful while you're doing these, because we're going to be using a lot of different things. Hot glue, metal, a lot of metal on all of these steps that I'm showing. Do it with proper care. And obviously, if you're on the younger side of my viewer base, do this with either an adult or somebody supervising you that, can help you out. It could get really messy. Obviously, there are materials you're going to need for this, so I'm just going to list off the ones that I think I use the most. The first and foremost one will be hot glue. We're going to be using this one as an adhesive for most of these, but also as a protective layer on a handful of these also. So you're going to need a lot of hot glue, and obviously hot glue sticks by extension. Second is parchment paper. This is going to be used as basically the cover of your work table. But you're also going to be using these as prevention from it sticking to your table, from sticking to whatever you're using to flatten it. You're going to need these. And you'll also need it for the stickers, which it'll be used for like 2 different things, but whatever. Safety pins, though I've replaced safety pins in my case with paper clips because I don't have a bunch of safety pins on me right now, which is a bummer. I think I needed a lot more and I just didn't have the time to buy any. So a lot of the things that do need safety pins or do use safety pins I don't exactly have in the video. Just keep that in mind. You're going to need clear tape, and that can be any type of clear tape. Usually the stickier ones help a lot more. Scotch tape is alright, but sometimes it's not exactly reliable and tends to fall apart a lot faster. Packaging tape is also really nice, and it prevents a lot of streaks in the thing, and we'll be using this as a protective layer, and you can also use this as a substitute for some of the things I'll be using later. And the last item you're going to need for this project is a soda can. And the reason for that is it's going to basically be like your metal backing, your hoop for at least 2 of these projects. So you're going to be using a lot of these pieces for some of these projects. It's also really nice because it's sturdy and durable, but handle with caution. These next ones are technically optional. I think one of the things I use a lot in this is Mod Podge, and that's obviously for protection and to make it last longer, but you don't exactly need it for that purpose. I think it can easily be substituted for clear tape if you want to make sure it's a little bit more resistant, especially with the hot glue keychains. This one I just have an excess of because I was doing buttons and then I just haven't been able to do them as of late. So I have a lot of printed artwork that I have accessible for me. Obviously, you don't need that for this project. You can easily just draw out something traditionally and then do it. But if you have particular artwork that you want to turn into cute little things, that's also an option. And this one was helpful, I think, in making it pop out more, but you can also use acrylic markers or paint as layering on top or to just emphasize specific parts. You don't need these also, but it's just nice to have. You can also have, for decorative purposes, ribbon, string, just as background and border for some of these. And you can also use, I I think this was a Decora set. I really don't know what these are. I got them at Daiso with a bunch of charms, essentially. And I just kind of used them for one of them as a practice, but I think they also work as decorative stuff, but I don't really know. Pliers are also really helpful just for like making and puncturing holes in the soda can. Now that I have all of those out of the way, we can actually start to get into each of the projects. So this first one, you're essentially doing the steps that one would do with an acrylic keychain kind of ish, but you're doing it with hot glue. And so you're basically going to take the artwork of any kind, just on paper, and you're going to basically layer a ton of hot glue on top of it. Then take some parchment paper, put it on top of that, and then squish it with something heavy. Like that can be a candle. I used a candle in my case, but you can also use a heavy book, just something that's going to keep it in place and squash it down, and then distribute the hot glue all around. Once you have that, you turn it around, do the exact same on the back side, and trim whatever excess you have. I think in most of the cases, I was a little short on the hot glue itself, so I had to go back and relayer it multiple times to get all of the spaces. If you're doing smaller ones, you're not going to have to worry about this that much. But in general, it's better to use more than less and then have to redo it and then risk having little spots of paper underneath. So that's just kind of a little bit important to note. And then afterwards, if I did miss a bunch of spots, I kind of layer it with Mod Podge a little bit just to seal everything in and make it a little more durable. From there, you're going to pick a little spot on the keychain itself to puncture. I used a safety pin for this, or at least a pretty big one, and just pluck it on through. And since I don't have like hoop rings or whatever to make it like an actual keychain, I've just been using paper clips. I like thread it through and they stay on really nice. I don't think it's the most durable pick that I have, but it's like what I have on me right now. And from there you can kind of just hook these onto keychains that you already have, on belt loops, whatever you already have. So they're cute and they're really simple to do. It's probably like the first project that I've been doing a lot of as of recently. Our second one is going to use that parchment paper that you've used for your hot glue keychains. You're going to still be using your parchment paper for this. What you're going to do is you're going to first put a bunch of clear tape onto that parchment paper. And you're going to want it to be around bigger, if not like the same size as the artwork that you put onto there. I do recommend leaving a little bit of space between the stickers and the actual like paper part of it, just so that way when you're cutting it out, you have more space and it sticks better. You put your artwork, obviously, and then on top of that you're going to put another layer of tape, basically sealing it in between two layers of tape, similarly to the way you did it with the hot glue, except in this case it's tape. And then from there, you cut out the sticker, again, leaving a little generous amount of space in between that to basically make your sticker. And these can go on anything. They don't last very long because it's tape and not exactly sticker adhesive by any means, but they're still cute to have, especially if you're putting it into, like, I don't know, your sketchbook. Paper, it's going to stick on easy, but obviously if you're doing it on other surfaces, it's not going to last as long. This was one of the things that I think I did a lot of back in 2022, 2021. It's really simple to do, and I think it's cute. This next one, basically, grab whatever artwork you have and then put a layer of tape, Mod Podge, whatever you're using to seal it on top. And then at the back, you're going to glue, I don't know. You can pick between metal and cardboard for this one. I use cardboard just because I don't really want to work with metal in this case. And glue it to the back just to make it sturdy. And then from there, just stick a pin onto it with hot glue, lather it on. and boom, you have a little pin. It's not exactly sturdy by any means. It still works. I think it's very one note on that end. Obviously, I don't have any safety pins on me, so I can't exactly demonstrate how to glue that onto there, but I think like putting the pin on is pretty straightforward, so I'm not gonna worry about that. And these last two, you're going to need to basically now gut that little soda can, and by that I mean you're going to use your scissors or pliers for this, cut a little hole, and then you're going to want to cut out that bottom part of the soda can, and that's what you're going to be using essentially as your round pin button. From there, it's just a matter of picking the artwork, gluing it onto the metal button-ish, and then sealing it off with a layer of tape or Mod Podge. And again, in this case I used Mod Podge. At the back, you know, you can seal it all in again, just for an extra layer of sturdiness. Put a bunch of hot glue there. At this step, you would use also your hot glue to put in a safety pin of some sort. But again, I don't have that, so I can't exactly demonstrate it. So just imagine that you put in the bobby pin. Then you have your own DIY button. And I think these ones will last at least a little bit longer than a couple of these other projects, depending on the amount of Mod Podge you used. Yeah. Don't throw away that can yet, because you're going to be needing it for this next part, which is more or less experimental. I'm not sure exactly the durability of these pendants. You're going to then use your scissors to cut out the flat part of your soda can to make one long strip. You're going to basically use that long strip as the backing to your metal pendant. You'll grab your artwork, whatever, cut it out into its desired shape. You can make it into like a heart. I use mostly squares because it's simple and easy, but you can make it whatever shape you want. Once you have your desired shape on both your artwork and your metal backing, you're going to glue it on, either using, you know, hot glue or Mod Podge, and just kind of stick it onto there. You can also put a layer of tape on the front of the pendant, on top of the paper, just to seal it in again, to make it a little more durable. And then from there, you're going to use a soda tab, because again, we're using most of the soda can, and hot glue it onto the back. And what this is gonna do is be your little like hoop ring of sorts to kind of let you use it as a pendant. And this pendant, depending on the size that you decide on, can be something as simple as a necklace or a keychain, or add it onto an existing keychain, or it can just be its own thing. Since I don't exactly have sandpaper to sand down the edges, because again, this is fairly dangerous to just kind of have waddling around, I use hot glue to essentially buff down the sides and make it not sharp to touch. And then from there, if you want to also decorate it to just hide the hot glue border, you can use something like string or ribbon. And I tried to use that little decorating set on one of the pendants, and it has yet to dry, but I mean, it's pretty cute, and I put a couple charms on it, so that's also an option. With that, I think that's basically all of the DIY projects I have. Again, these are not exactly the most durable things on the planet. I don't think that they would last very long in practice, or if you're going to put them on something that you use regularly, but I think they're just really cool to have, and they use a lot of stuff that I just kind of have laying around at home and I haven't really used as of late. So resourcefulness, yeah. Do be careful when you're doing these, I emphasize again, because I probably burned my hand multiple times with the hot glue, or I didn't cut myself, luckily, with the aluminum, but it could happen, and there's a bunch of like little flakes of, metal that tend to fly off or drop So be on the lookout for those because that can also be a danger. But all in all, it was very simple, and these are just a couple of the really cute things that you can do, and I hope these were fun to try out. So yeah, bye!